Alright guys, so we're about to make a few plates for the Maker Mike show. These are plates for a 3D printer, and basically it's a family of parts that are very similar. Okay, so we have the bottom plate, we have the bottom plate back, and the bottom plate top. Alright, so this family of parts all uses the same stock material. So the stock is going to be 200 thousandths thick by 4 inches wide. Alright, so you got 4 inches, and the length of each one of these is going to be 22.5 inches. So it's going to finish up at 22.263. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go to manufacture, and I'm going to go to setup. I'm going to go ahead and set up my stock. I have offset side and offset top. Offset side, I'm going to do 0.25. Actually, offset side, I'm going to do 0, and stock top 0. Now there is going to be some stock right here that hangs off, but I'm not going to worry about that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up my model orientation. I'm going to select my Z-axis. So I come over here, click this check mark, click on top. Then I'm going to select up my X. This is going to be my X-axis right here. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my origin. I'm going to do a box point, model box point. And I'm going to select right here for my origin. Now I want my X going to the right, so I'm going to come over here to flip X and check it. Now when I did that, it moves my origin over to this corner, so I'm going to go ahead and reselect my model box point and put it right here. Let's go ahead and click OK. I'm going to rename my setup Op1, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 2D contour on this side, and then do a 2D contour on this side. So let's go ahead and start with our left 2D contour. So I'm going to go 2D, I'm going to go 2D contour, and when I hover to select the side, it wants to select the whole parameter of the part. So I'm going to hold my Alt key down, which will let me select just this one area. And now I'm going to go ahead and set up my tool. So I'm going to use a 1/2 inch end mill. So I'm going to go to my tool, and I'm going to create a 1/2 inch end mill. So I'm going to make this tool 1. I'm going to name it 1/2 inch end mill. I'm going to go to cutter. I'm going to select flat end mill, and in diameter I'm going to type in 0.5. Shaft and holder I'm not too worried about. Speeds and feeds, I'm going to go 1500 RPM at 15 inches a minute. Now I could go faster, but I'm going to start off at 15 just because it's one piece. And my plunge rate, we'll go ahead and leave it at 5. Post processor, tool 1, sounds good. So I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to select this 1/2 inch end mill. Then I'm going to go to my heights. I'm going to go ahead and put this in front view, and my reach clearance height, I'm going to make 0.1, retract 0.1, top height 0.1, stock top 0, and my selected contours, I'm going to go to absolute and tell it to go -0.25. I'm going to go to passes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in rough passes with a 50 thousandths maximum step over, and number of step overs I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go to linking. I'm going to change my sweeping angle at 180 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Alright, so if I put it in top view, you can see that the cutter does this little radius right here before it leads in, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that. I'm actually going to make this my lead-in radius at 0. Linear lead-in radius, 0. I'm actually going to put this at 0 degrees. My linear lead-in distance, since I'm using the 1/2 inch end mill, I'm going to go to radius plus some, so I'll make it 0.3. So now, if I zoom out, I have something that looks like this. And what I want to make sure is that this line right here, that the end mill starts before where the material actually starts. Alright, so everything looks good. I'm going to name this left cut. And now I need to go over to the other side and do the same thing. So the easiest way to do this is just right click right here, go to duplicate, and I'm going to rename this right cut. So all we got to do now is edit this right cut toolpath. I'm going to go to geometry, deselect the previous geometry, and now I'm going to hold my Alt key and select this edge right here and hit OK. So I have something that looks like this. Got my left cut, got my right cut. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut this pocket. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use a 1/4 inch end mill to cut out this pocket. And we're going to use a, let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to use a 2D contour. So I'm going to go to Tool, I'm going to create a new tool, I'm going to go to the General tab, I'm going to name it 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to go to my cutter, use a flat end mill that's 0.25 diameter. Shaft holder, not worried about. Speeds and feeds, I'm going to go 3500 RPM at 15 inches a minute. And I'll go ahead and leave my plunge feed rate at 5. Post processor, tool number 2, sounds good. And I'm going to select OK. I'm going to hit OK again. Now I'm going to go to my geometry tab and I'm going to select this chain right here. Everything looks good. If I wanted to cut the outside, I would click on this arrow, but I don't. I want to cut the inside. Heights. Okay, so I'm going to put it in front view so I can see what's going on. Retract height, I'll make 0.1, stock top 0.1, top height 0.1, stock top 0. And my bottom, I'm going to put in absolute and go minus 0.25. Now the plate is 200 thousandths fit, so 0.25 is an extra 50 thousandths right there. I like doing that because it ensures that if there's a radius on the end mill that it still cuts to full depth. Alright, so number of passes, let's see, let's go ahead and put this on multiple depths, and 40 thousandths per depth of cut sounds good. Let's go to linking, horizontal lead-in radius. Let's go ahead, let's try out 25 thousandths. I think that'll work. I'm going to hit OK. I'm just going to use it at the default settings. I don't usually do that, but I'm going to do it now. Alright, so what you want to watch out for is we want to make sure that the tool doesn't feed in and we don't put any kind of significant force on the tool that could break it. So we have this lead-in radius that the tool pretty much sweeps down and leads in at a radius, okay? We could have problems with that. I'm going to zoom in really close and I'm going to simulate this. So the tool comes down, leads in at a radius to 50,000 depth, 40,000 depth of cut, and then it starts taking its pass. It's going to look something like this. Comes out. It's going to back up, lead back in. And everything looks pretty good. As you can see, I'm actually going deeper than the plate actually is. That's to make sure that I actually cut through. If you go the exact distance, sometimes you'll find yourself with a really big bird. Alright, so everything looks good. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to rename this operation Pocket. Let's go ahead and hit save. Alright, so I'm going to start off by measuring these holes here. So I have a diameter of 0.177 here, 0.177, 0.138. Now I have a bunch of these plates to make, so I'm actually going to do something weird here. Not only do I have the 3 plates I have to make for the Maker Mike show, but also I have a handful of plates that uses the same stock material to make for myself. Now, one thing, each one of these plates has a wide range of different drills. Okay, so I'm gonna do something weird I don't usually do. I'm actually just going to drill each hole with the smallest diameter, and then come back to the drill press and actually drill it out 2 sides. Now the reason why I'm doing that is because I have a bunch of plates to make that uses a wide range of drills. Okay, so my setup process could take a long time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find the smallest drilled hole, which should be 98 thousandths diameter. And I'm just going to drill a 98 thousandths through each one of these, and then rechase everything on the drill press. That's because I have to make one of each. Okay, I actually have like 10 different plates I have to make. This is just one size. If I wanted to set each tool, my programming time and my setup time and operation time would drastically actually increase. So I'm trying to make things easier for myself, and I'm actually just going to cut everything at 98 thousandths. If you're on the drill press, rechase everything to the right diameter. It's a lot faster that way. Now, if I was running 5 pieces, I'd probably do it differently. If I was running if I was running 5 or more pieces, I would do it differently. But in this case, it's one of each, and my setup time is going to increase with all of these different hole sizes. So let's close this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to drill. I'm going to go to select my tool, and I'm going to create a center drill. Center drill. I'm going to select my cutter. It's going to be center drill. My diameter right here is going to be 0.125, and my diameter of my body is going to be 0.25. Feeds and speeds. I'm going to go 1200 RPM at 4 inches per minute. My plunge feed rate, 4 inches. Post processor, let's make this tool number 3. And I'm going to hit OK. Let's go to geometry, and I'm going to select each one of these holes. Okay, now I want to do it in an order that makes sense, where the tool doesn't have to travel here and go way over to this hole. So I'm going to do these just right in line. So I'm going to select each one of these holes right in line. So I'm going to select this hole, and so on. Okay, so I have each one of my holes selected. Now I'm going to go to my heights. I'm going to put it in front view so I can actually see what's going on. And my clearance height is going to be 0.1, stock top 0.1, top height 0.1, top feet height 0.1, top height 0, and my bottom I'm going to put in absolute, and I'm going to go minus 50 thousandths. Cycle type, drilling is going to be fine. We'll go ahead and hit OK, and I now have something that looks like this. We'll go ahead and save. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename, I'm going to click right here and rename this center drill. Okay, so since I'm keeping things simple, what I'm going to do is I have all these holes selected right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this toolpath. Let's rename it 98 thousandths drill. Now I can get away with doing it like this because these holes may be bigger, but because I'm drilling at 98 thousandths through each one of these just to keep everything simple, on the drill press, because the hole is already drilled and a typical drill has a 118 degree including angle, that drill is going to follow this hole. Okay, so I won't have any problems with accuracy. This should work out pretty good. Alright, so since I duplicated this, all I have to do is edit the depth and the tool number. So I'm going to go over to my tool. I'm going to create a drill. Let's go to general. 98 thousandths diameter drill. We'll put our cutter on drill, our diameter 98 thousandths. Feed and speed, let's go 1200 RPM. Plunge rate, let's go 4 inches a minute. I could go faster. A lot of times you'll dial in your speeds and feeds to pretty much reduce the cycle time. But if you're just making one part, sometimes you have to evaluate your situation. And do you want to spend a lot of time playing with speeds and feeds in your settings, or do you just want to get the part done? And it's just one piece, let's just get the part done. Tool number 4, let's hit OK. Get that selected. Geometry, that's already selected for me. Now the height. Now everything, because I duplicated this toolpath, all I have to change is my bottom height. I'm going to make this 0.25 with the, and include the drill tip through. If I zoom in, it's going to look something like this. Now if you want to, you could peck. These plates are made out of aluminum, and I'm only going 1/4 inch deep, so I don't think there's any real reason to peck. So we're just going to keep it simple. Alright, so everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and post. I'm using a Haas TM mill, so I'm going to select milling. Vendors would be Haas. And I'm going to use this pre-NGC Haas post processor. Program name, I'm going to name 0100. I don't bother putting the O in there because when I post it, it'll do that for me. Okay, so the properties. So I'm not going to have a preload tool. Get that checked, no. I'm going to use a G00. And I'm going to use a G28 instead of a G53. That's usually the only settings I use for this machine. Everything else is default. I'll go ahead and name this bottom plate final, and we'll go ahead and post it. Alright, so I'm going to go through here and make sure everything looks right. So right here is starting off with a 98 thousandths drill. So I have a problem. It only posted a 98 thousandths drill. So let's exit out of this. Now the reason why it did that is because the only toolpath I've highlighted is my 98 thousandths drill. So what I need to do is select my op1, then go to post. Let's rename this. We'll repost it. Alright, so now if I look at everything, I have my left cut, which uses a 1/2 inch end mill, and as you can see, I have my 1/2 inch end mill as tool 1. Tool 2 is a 1/4 inch end mill. Tool 3 is a center drill with a 1/4 inch body. Tool 4 is my 98 thousandths drill. Everything looks good. We'll go ahead and post this and see how it goes. Alright guys, so we got our program ready. I made one little mistake. There's going to be 2 clamps holding it down. One in between these holes right here and one over here. The clamp is a 1/2 inch tall, so we need to make sure we clear it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my left cut. I'm going to right click, go to edit, and I'm going to go to my heights. Now my clearance height, because it's the clamp is 0.5 tall, I'm going to enter 0.6. Okay, and let's see. I think I'll be alright in the right cut, because basically it's going to come in, do the left cut first, retract to clearance, which is 0.6, move over the clamps and come over to the other side. And this is the last tool path with this tool, so I should be fine. It should go straight up. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my center drill, I'm going to go to edit, I'm going to go to my heights, and my retract I'm going to go 0.6 for my clearance and 0.6 on my retract, and we'll go ahead and click OK. So we'll have something that looks like this, and we'll do the same thing with the drill. Right click, go to edit, go to the height, 0.6, 0.6 for my clearance. So I got something that looks like this. We'll go ahead and hit save. Now, because I have a family of parts, I have one that looks like this. It's the same stock material, and it's going to use basically the same tools. And then I have another part. It looks like this. This one's a little bit different, but it basically uses the same tools. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my left cut, I'm going to right click, I'm going to go store as template, and I'm going to name this left cut. So I now have that toolpath saved. I'm going to go to my right cut, I'm going to do the same thing, store as template, I'm going to name it, I'm going to go to my pocket, store as template, I'm going to go to my center drill, store as template, and I'm going to go to my drill, store as template. Now one thing on the pocket, I want to make sure I can use my tool wear compensation. So let's go ahead and check that out. Let's check our settings here. So I'm going to right click on it, and let's go to edit, let's go to passes, compensation type, let's put it on wear. And let's see what this looks like. Now if I post process this, what you should see is a G41. So now it puts the G41, and because it's tool 2, it's going to have a decompensation D2 in there. So I have a series of G41s. Looks good. We'll go ahead and close that out. Let's resave this as a template. And let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so now I have this part to do, right? So all I should have to do is go to manufacture. We'll go to our setups. We'll do the same thing, stock. I'm just going to put 0. Let's go ahead and get our orientation. So our Z is going to be on top of the part. And our X looks good. Let's do let's set up our stock to model box point, and I'm going to click the same origin location. Looks good. The last program I named as 00100, so I'll make this 00101. Hit OK. We'll name this Op1. Let's go ahead and save. Alright, so all I should have to do now is right click here, and I'm going to create from template, and I'm going to do my left cut. Let's bring this down. Let's go ahead, we're going to upload all of these. So I'm going to create from template, right cut, create from template. Let's do our pockets. Now I'm going to have 3 pockets here. So what we'll do is we'll just duplicate this 3 times. Let's go ahead and add our center drill and our drill. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and regenerate this, see what it looks like. Now, it gave me some alarms right here. So, let's go to left cut, and basically what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to tell it basically where the geometry is. So I'm going to right click, go to edit, we'll go to geometry, and we'll select, I'm going to hold my Alt key down, select this line, click OK. So I now have something that looks like this. I'm going to go to my right cut. Right click, go to edit, go to my geometry tab, hold my Alt key down, and select this line. Hit OK. Alright, so if I wanted to, this little offset in, I could actually select that too. Let's go ahead and select that also. So I'm going to go back to geometry, exit out of that, and I'm going to hold my Alt key down. Now I'm going to hold my Control key down and select more than one piece of geometry. So we'll have something that looks like this. Now because I'm using a 1/2 inch end mill, it's going to have a 1/4 inch radius right there. So we'll come back and clean that up. Just go back and do the same thing on our right side. Go to my geometry. Hold my Alt key down and Control key down to select more than one entity. And hit OK. So I have something that looks like this. Alright, so now I have these pockets.
Now last time I did use a contour. The diameter is 0.866. I think I'm going to do something different on these pockets. Let's actually delete these. So I could come in and cut it with the 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to have a little problem with that. So what I could do is I could edit each one of these, and I'm going to change the end mill. I'm going to select my tools that I use from the bottom plate, and we'll do a 1/2 inch end mill this time. Looks good. Okay, it wants me to select the contour, so I'm going to go to geometry, and I'm going to select this. We'll hit OK. Let's see what other types of lead-ins we have. Let's see what a ramp looks like. Looks pretty good. I think I'm going to use the ramp instead. Alright, so the easiest way to do this, I'll actually delete these other two pockets, and we'll duplicate this. So I'm going to go to duplicate, and we'll duplicate. It's got a little alarm there. It probably doesn't like my lead in. Alright, so this is what I actually wanted to do. So I'm just going to ignore the warning it has. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reselect the geometry that I want to use. On this middle pocket, I'm going to select right there. We'll go ahead and hit OK. So I have something that looks like that. We'll call this middle pocket. We'll go ahead and rename this left pocket. Now, if I wanted to, I really could use a 2D pocket operation. And let's see what this looks like. So it uses a 1/2 inch end mill, geometry. We'll go ahead and select our pocket. Tool heights, because I'm going to use a clamp, my retract will be 0.6. And my total depth will be minus
25. We won't leave any stock. Multiple depths. We'll do 40 thousandths depth of cut. Sounds good. Linking. Yeah, we'll do a helix lead in. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, I didn't like that. Alright, so I'll rename this pocket. Now I'm actually using a 2D contour. I'm just fine with that. So I'm going to go to Edit, Geometry, and I'll select this, Geometry. Hit OK. So I have something that looks like this. Now it's giving me a warning. Most likely my warning is there's probably some kind of conflict with lead in. But this is what I want. As you can see, it generated a toolpath. So I'm just going to let this be. If I want to, I can simulate it. I'm going to make my holder transparent. Looks good. We'll speed that up. So I'm just going to ignore those warnings. You'll find that a lot of times you'll get warnings on your toolpath, especially when it comes to like 2D contours and 2D pockets. You'll get a lot of warnings. It's trying to tell you, hey, look at your lead in, look at your clearance, something doesn't add up. I simulated it. It gave me the toolpath I want. So we're going to go ahead and run this and try this out. Alright, so now I'm going to go to my center drill. I'm going to go to Edit. Go to my Geometry. And we'll go ahead and select here, 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 and so on. Looks good. I'm going to put it in front view, make sure my depth is right, and that looks about right, 50 thousandths deep. Now I made my 98 thousandths drill toolpath from a template. So what I could do is go to Geometry and reselect each one of those. Another way I could also do this, I could just delete that. My center drill already has all my geometry selected. So what I could do is just go over, right click on it, go to Duplicate, rename it 98 thousandths drill, right click, go to Edit, change my tool to my 98 thousandths drill, and change my depth. I'm going to include my drill tip, put it in front view, zoom in. Alright, so I'm going to add in a breakthrough point. So we'll go an extra 50 thousandths, and I zoom out, it looks something like that. Looks good. Go ahead and save that. Alright, so I used a 1/2 inch end mill to cut these sides. What you can do is do a cleanup right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to 2D. Alright, so normally I would use a rest roughing. I don't have a rest roughing option. So what I'm going to do to come in and clean this up, I'm going to go to my left cut. I'm going to right click and go duplicate. And you can see it brought down here. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag this down to the bottom. There we go. We'll go to edit. I'm going to reselect my geometry. And I'm just going to cut here and here. We'll put it on rest. We'll put it on rest machining. My tool diameter is 0.25 and my corner radius 0.125. We'll go ahead and we're going to select our 1/4 inch end mill we were going to use. Let's hit OK. Alright, so it threw out an alarm. Basically my corner radius, basically what it wants is it wants me to specify the corner radius of the tool previously used to cut the boundary. So we're going to change that to 0.25 because we used a 1/2 inch end mill. And we had used a 1/2 inch end mill. So I'm going to rename this left cut rest. And I'm going to right click and duplicate this. Go ahead, go to edit. We're going to change our geometry. I'm going to hold my Alt key down. And I'm going to click OK. So I now have this toolpath right here. I'll go ahead and rename this. Right cut rest. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this to template. So we'll go to store as template. We'll double check everything. One thing, when it comes up, I need to make sure I clear my clamp. As you can see, it comes up to 0.6, so let's go ahead. That should be good. We'll go ahead and hit save. Alright, so it looks good. Alright, so I'm going to go to my bottom plate now. And I'm going to do the same thing that I just did. I'm going to change the orientation. We'll go to manufacture. We'll go to setup. stock 0. Now I could define my stock. This is much simpler. We're going to go ahead and select our orientation. We'll do select Z-axis with X. I'm going to click my face to be my Z. We'll flip to X. And we'll select our origin from model box point. And I'm going to select this as my model box point. Let's go ahead and click OK. I'm going to rename this op1. Hit save. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create from template. So I have my left cut. Bring this down. Right cut. We'll go ahead and do our pockets. I'll duplicate this 3 times. Go ahead and duplicate my cut rest. Get my center drill and my drill. Let's go ahead and hit save. Alright, so let's start off in the left cut. I'm going to go to edit. Go to my geometry, hold my Alt key down, and select the chain of geometry that I want. Hit OK. So I got something that looks like this. We'll go ahead and do the right cut. So I'm going to right click, go to edit, go to my geometry, hold my Alt key down. Select the geometry that I want to cut. We'll go ahead and do our pocket. Go to geometry. Select the geometry I want to use. Make sure. Does it look right? Yeah. Looks good. Make sure that I'm actually having a spiral in. Let's change this. I want to have a ramp. Also, one thing I left off, I wanted to go a little bit deeper, so let's change our depth. It's going 1/4 inch. Now this stock material is actually 0.2, alright? So it doesn't actually show the tool going through, but it is. We'll change the model. There's a little change we need to make. Got my left pocket. Now since I changed have it where it spiraled down into like a helical lead-in, I went ahead and deleted the other 2 pockets, and I'm just going to duplicate these. We'll rename them. Select the geometry I want to use. I want to check something. Looks good. I'm going to put it in front view. I'm going to change my geometry here on my left cut rest. As something like that. We'll go ahead and rename this one. I'm going to go ahead and select my holes. Gonna make sure it's clear my clamps, and it should. You can see the yellow line goes up to 0.6. Looks good. And we'll go ahead and save it. Alright, so we changed the design a little bit of the model. Originally, Maker Mike designed it to be a 1/4 inch thick plate. Now, I only have 0.2 thick plate. So, basically, what we're going to do, we're going to go back to the model and we're going to modify it. So we're going to modify millimeter. Now I'm in millimeters right now, so I'm going to change my document settings to inches. We're going to modify, and let's go ahead and measure it, make sure we got the right height, 0.2. So the plate I have is 0.2 thick. I think it's actually supposed to be 5 millimeter, but for some reason it's a few thousandths thicker than 5 millimeter. Another problem that I'm going to have is he designed this with a 0.118 diameter radius. So one problem I have is basically I only have an 1/8 inch end mill. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this. One way, let's go ahead and save this. One way is actually go to modify and modify each one of these surfaces, which can be kind of a pain. Another way to do this, which I think is the easiest way, is I'm going to go to sketch and I'm going to go to offset. Now it's 0.118, and I have an 1/8 inch end mill, but I need some kind of room to actually move it around. I may have, if I make it exactly an 1/8 inch and use an 1/8 inch end mill, it's going to throw up warnings, and I might have a little trouble getting a toolpath because basically there'll be a little conflict with like lead in and actual step over. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna lie to the software. Actually, we're not gonna lie, but what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna tell it to be 0.127. So that's 9 thousandths. So per aside, that'll be 4.5 thousandths. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to offset. We'll click our plane, and I'm gonna offset this. Select the side. I'm just gonna make it even 5 thousandths. Make sure it's right. So I have that. I'm gonna hit O for offset. And I'm going to offset each one of these over 5 thousandths. Now, I could go through each one of these and do the same. Now, most likely this is symmetrical, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to come in and draw a construction line, and we'll actually mirror all this geometry. So let's go to Sketch, Mirror, Objects. Let's see. Let's see if it'll just let us select all of this. That's the cool thing about Fusion 360. Sometimes you can just cheat. Alright. Mirror line. I'm going to select my construction line. And what do you know? It's symmetrical. If anybody's got a better way to do this, let me know. So I'm going to hit OK. Zoom in, make sure all my geometry is the way I want it, and it looks good. Let's go ahead and go to create. We'll zoom in. I'm going to select this, this.
And there's probably a better way of doing this. I'm already kind of committed, so we're going with it. If anybody's got a better way, let me know in the comments section, and I'll try it out.
Alright, cool. I'm going to tilt my model and pull down. We'll go ahead and put it in top view. And let's double check ourselves. So if I measure this diameter right here, it should be bigger than an 1/8 inch. I got 0.128. Perfect. Let's measure each one of these. Oops. I'm going to hit I for inspect. And it looks like we got everything. So what I'm going to do, since I modified the model, I'm going to save as and pretty much duplicate it as a modified version. I'm going to hit save. Let's go back to manufacture. Now, since I changed the model, it threw up warnings. So I'm going to right click on my op, regenerate. It's going to fix everything. Alright, so I'm going to cut each one of these slots. Now these slots are actually vents for a fan for his 3D printer. So I'm going to go to 2D Pocket, tool. Let's create an 1/8 inch tool. So I'm going to make a 1/8 inch end mill. Go to cutter, it'll be flat end mill. 0.125 diameter, speed 3500, and since it's such a small end mill, I'm going to go really slow. I'm just going to go 10 inches a minute. Now, there probably could be a faster way to do this. If you got a faster way, let me know. I'll be the first one to tell you. I don't know everything. Tool number 5 sounds good. And we'll go ahead and click OK. Geometry. Let's go ahead and select our geometry here. Tool height, because we have clamps, let's go 0.6. Retract height, we're just going to do 0.1. What we're going to do is pretty much do each one of these vents. Then the last one, what we'll do is then we'll slide over and retract to 0.6. Actually, let's just make that 0.6. Okay, so retract height 0.1, top height 0.1, bottom height. I'm gonna do my origin. Let's go absolute. I'm probably gonna go about 35 thousandths depth of cut. So what we'll do is we'll make our offset down. Let's go minus 0.235. Passes. Right here, my maximum step over will have to be We'll try 0.12. We have to have room to step over it without gouging the material. Hey babe.
What are you doing?
Doing a video tutorial.
Oh. When you're done, do you want to play RuneScape?
Yeah.
You can try it for like 5 minutes, and if you don't like it, it's fine.
That's fine.
I mean, you don't have to. Don't force yourself.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay? Does that mean that you're not going to, or?
Yeah, I'll probably play RuneScape with you. Hello?
So, I mean, to just enjoy it.
Yeah. We need to add some bacon in there. Okay. Love you too, baby.
I keep getting right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what head rushes are?
Yeah.
Like this weird move.
I know.
Alright, love you.
I love you too, babe.
Alright, bye.
Alright, bye. Okay, so we'll make our maximum step over. We'll try 0.1, see how it works. Stock to leave. These are just vents. So I'm not really too worried about it. Now, what I do have to do is go to multiple depths. We're going to go 35,000 step for cut. And we'll see how this works. I'm going to use a helix ramp in. Okay, so it gave me a warning right here. Let's go ahead and simulate this, see what it does. So the warning could possibly be that it doesn't like my maximum step over. 0.125. It still doesn't like it. Could be my safe distance. Let's try this out.
Okay, so it's got a little warning in there. I'm not really sure what it is. Everything on my toolpath looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click and let's simulate it one more time. And what we're looking for is to make sure that the tool doesn't go outside of the pocket. And everything looks good.
I'm going to name this left 1 So I'm going to name this left 1 vent 1. Go ahead and hit OK. Let's go ahead and save this. Alright, so okay, so I have six vents per a fan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this. Okay, so I have 7 vents per a fan. So I'm gonna go ahead and do is duplicate this 6 more times. So we'll go to duplicate. And I can just select Control D to duplicate this. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so I'm going to name each one of these. Let's name this Vent 2. I'm going to right click. Change my geometry. Said OK. Bam. Name this Vent 3. Right click. Go to Edit. Change my geometry. Let's go ahead and save. Go to my 4th one. Right click. I'm going to go to Edit. Go to Geometry. Okay, so I have my series of vents. Let's go ahead and hit save. Alright, so I'm going to go to my last vent.
let's go ahead and duplicate this 7 more times. And I can just use Control D. And we'll go ahead and rename this. We'll make this L2. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go to my last vent, duplicate this. We'll do L2, L1, and let's duplicate this. I'm going to select my new geometry. Alright, so I have all these vents now. Now what I'm going to try to do is actually mirror this pattern. So we're going to do a new pattern type. Let's do mirror plane. Now I need to draw some kind of line right there. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's go back to model. Do a construction line. Let's go back to manufacture. Alright, so I'm going to go to new pattern. Let's go ahead and move this back. So I'm going to go to new pattern type, mirror plane. Okay, so typically what I can do is do a mirror pattern based off this construction line, but it's not wanting to let me do that because I'm trying to basically take a screen video of this video tutorial. So my computer's acting a little goofy.